I bring with me a deck of playing cards, 52 pieces of paper that bring with them their own secrets, their own mysteries, their own strange power. Hailing from a family tree of fortune tellers and psychics, the big brother to the ancient and mysterious tarot, each one of the cards complete with its own detailed and specific meaning. When I look at these cards, I don't see clubs, hearts, spades and diamonds. I see conflicts and resolutions. I see dangerous love affairs lurking around the corner. I see births, marriages and deaths, life from the cradle to the grave. It's no surprise, with their enduring relationships to both the occult and gambling, that these simple pieces of paper have long inspired mystics, artists, sages and poets, earning them the affectionate nickname of the devil's playthings. And right now, you look like someone the devil would like to play with. In a moment, I would like you to allow one of these cards to find you. Now that sounds unusual, so let me explain what I mean by that. You might think you're the one doing the choosing. You might think you're the one picking the card. But let me tell you, in my experience, the right card always finds the right person. So all you need to do is to say the word stop as I drop the cards. It's completely up to you whenever you want.
Stop.
Perfect, right here. You're happy at this point?
Yes.
I would like you to look at that card and remember it. I'll look away so you can see that I can't see what the card is. You remember that one?
Yes.
Good. Whatever you do not forget the cards. If you do, you will find yourself cursed for 1,000 lifetimes. So take this moment in your own mind to repeat the card a few times.
Okay.
Good. And I would like to do the same thing with you. As I drop the cards, simply say the word stop. Right here. Take a look at that card and remember it. I'll look away. You already know the gravity of forgetting your card. So say it in your own head a few times so you can be certain you'll remember it. Good? Excellent. Maybe it's the playing cards' enduring relationship with fortune telling that makes them so perfect for examples and tests of telepathy. And that's where we'll begin this evening with a test of telepathy. I would like both of you to focus your imagination only on the card that you chose, and indeed focus your vision right here in the center on the candle flame. Please take my hand, and please take my hand. Begin by focusing only on the color of your card, whether your card was a red one or a black one. If your card was a red card, think of something hot like the flame itself. If your card was a black card, think of something cold like ice. So you're predominantly a visual thinker, you think in pictures. So what I want you to do, instead of thinking about feeling, I want you to imagine that flame changing into the color of your card. So right now it's just yellow, but begin to imagine it turning into the exact color. So yours is red.
Correct.
Yes, and yours, when I worked with you, it's warm in this room, but as soon as I asked you to think about hot and cold, I felt a rise in my temperature. So your card is red as also, yes?
Yeah.
Good. Now focus on the suit of the card, just the suit. So you're visual, you tend to see things in pictures, but you're quite an emotional thinker. You're the sort of girl that would have a random emotional breakdown in public for no reason whatsoever. Very emotional thinker. So I want you to think in emotion. So with you, pictures, and with you, feelings. So with you, think about the suit, you know, the shape that's on the card. Think about that. And with you, this is what I want you to do. You're both thinking of red cards. So if your card is a heart, think of someone you love. If your card is a diamond, think of something you love. So sort of material over emotional connection. And with you, just think about it as a picture. Different people think in different ways, and I have to adapt what I do to match the way that they think. So just think about it. With you, see the flame changing. See it becoming a shape, and actually get to that point in your mind where it becomes that is a diamond, yes?
Yes.
Good. And with you, focus on, this is strange, because the first thought that came to me was actually not a person, but an animal. So this is a heart, yes? Yeah, okay. I thought it was a pet straight away when I said think of someone you love, and then you switched and went to somebody, but that's okay. In your mind, see that flame beginning to morph into a number, or a letter, depending on which one you saw. It could be a king, a queen, it could be an ace, it could be a number, whatever it is, see it morphing. And imagine I can see that too. That's the 3 of diamonds.
Yes.
Yes? And yours is the 4 of hearts. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, it
That's a good way to start, I think. So the story starts, 15 or more years ago with me falling in love with Theodore Deland's automatic deck of playing cards. And today, it kind of has evolved into its own entirely different thing, where I think of it as being a map to mystery. So by looking at the backs of the cards, you know exactly what you need to do to arrive somewhere amazing. And it's just a really fun, really direct tool to use in creating compelling and interesting mystery demonstrations. And we'll continue as we began. You see, intuition is a strange thing. It means different things to different people. To a woman, it's the feeling she had the very first time she met her future husband. To a man, it's the way his computer software operates. To a scientist, it's a theory. To a believer, it's a divine gift. Call it what you want. One thing is certain. We all have it, whatever it is. Now, when I find myself doubting my own intuition, I have a simple exercise, a meditation that I like to undertake to remind me of the power of my own intuition. I take a deck of cards. In fact, you can help me with this for a moment. I take a deck of cards and I cut them somewhere at random. So go ahead, take the cards, give them a cut. Yeah, perfect. And then put the other half on top. Very good. And take that top card, the one that you've cut to. Don't let me see it, but just take it out of the pack. Very good. And keep it sort of face down on the table so we don't know what it is. I take the cards, I cut them, I remove one at random, and then I shuffle. Would you shuffle for me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. No points for anything flashy, however you feel comfortable doing it. It just matters that they're mixed. Now, when I do this meditation, when I do this at home to remind me of the power of my own intuition, I always do it alone in the dark. So while you're busy mixing those cards up, I'll be busy doing this. And when you're happy they are mixed, you can stop shuffling and hand me the cards. Amazing things happen when you sit alone in the dark. When you're happy they're mixed, simply place them face down with the backs facing up. Very good. You see, right now my goal is to allow my intuition to guide me to making a few interesting choices. Intuition is a strange thing. Like right now, I don't know why, but my intuition tells me to stop right here. If I'm in an especially curious mood, I might ask myself, why does my intuition tell me to stop on that card? But then I remind myself, who am I to question why a sunset is beautiful? Instead, I should simply play the game. I should simply allow my intuition to tell me what to do. I should simply allow it to tell me to stop right here. Now, maybe all of this has nothing to do with intuition. Maybe there is a perfectly logical explanation for why I feel the need to stop right there. And even if there is a logical explanation, I don't want to know. I'm reminded of the ancient sailors who navigated the seas using star maps that were completely inaccurate. Somehow, despite their faulty navigation, they always managed to arrive at their intended destination. Maybe all they needed was the map for them to take that leap of faith. My intuition told me to stop on 3 specific cards. I don't know why it tells me to stop there. I'll never know why it tells me to stop there, but it doesn't matter. It did. You took a card at the beginning, a card that at this point in time, only you know. Please take that card and place it right here. I don't know why my intuition told me to stop on these 3 cards. All I know is that intuition really is a strange thing. So the story behind the Marksman Deck itself goes right the way back to when I was a teenager and I was demonstrating magic tricks, International Magic in London, my beloved magic shop. And I would stand behind the counter and I would perform the Deland automatic deck to people that came in that were interested in it. And every week I would think to myself, oh, I could do this or I could do that. So I started making my own version, which eventually became the Marksman Deck. One of the things that I'm really proud of with the Marksman Deck is that it's kind of an entire show in one deck of cards. So each one of the features of the Mark deck is actually a fully blown performance routine. So it's not just kind of full of bells and whistles for no reason. They're all kind of born from tricks that I really wanted to do for an audience and that I've been developing and in some cases doing since I was 15 years old. So there's sort of 15 or more years of thought and work that's gone into the actual performances of these tricks. But most of all, it's just a super fun, really easy to handle solution to performing in casual situations. You know, like, I make my living from performing on stage, not in close-up environments. So if I perform close-up, if I'm performing in a small, intimate environment, it has to be fun and it has to be easy. Otherwise, why would I do it? Believe it or not all psychics wear gypsy costumes and have crystal balls. In fact, some of them have switched their gypsy costume for something far more aggressive, an army uniform. Soldiers, psychic soldiers, you see, governments around the world, English, American and Russian, have, believe it or not, spent millions of pounds on developing certain intuitive skills to the point of them being a weapon. There's something called remote viewing. Have you ever heard of this? No, remote viewing is a fascinating idea. It's the idea that a naturally intuitive person could somehow lift themselves out of their own consciousness to travel to a distant place to retrieve information from that place. So you can imagine if you were in the army, this could be an especially powerful gift. You could send somebody from where they were invisibly through the consciousness to a place full of secrets that you wanted to discover. So right now, I'm not quite at the point of military grade, but we'll give it a go anyway with the deck. I'm going to ask for your help on this. You can stay where you are, but what in a moment I'd like you to do is actually take the cards, I'll place them right here, and you'll cut a kind of small number of cards. It doesn't matter exactly how many you cut, less than half, but you know, a decent amount, and hold them flat between your hands. So you hold them perfect like this. Good. So right now in our test of remote viewing, we have somewhere else. The somewhere else is right between your hands. And we have secrets. The cards, whatever they might be, between your hands. So my job is to send my consciousness from this place to that place. But for a second, imagine that the somewhere else weren't just the place between your hands. Imagine that that was maybe a secret drawer in your bedroom. Things that you didn't want me to know about you. So you can see at that moment, this skill becomes very interesting. So, to do this, unfortunately, I can't talk about it and do it at the same time. I kind of put myself into a trance, believe it or not, an altered state of consciousness. That's all a trance is. It's nothing strange and unusual. It's just a way to heighten visualization. So to do it, I use this. So right now, you have no idea about any of the information in between your hands. If I was to ask you, you couldn't know. Equally, if I was able to read your mind, it would be no use because your mind doesn't know the answer. So I have to literally send my imagination, my consciousness from this place to the other place. So bear with me for a moment. Okay, the very first idea that I get is this. That's the first idea. Okay, the next idea that I get is this. And another idea is this. These are the thoughts that come to me, 15, 8, and 84. Now, they might not make immediate sense when it comes to playing cards, but I think I understand exactly what this means. You see, when I left this place and arrived in the other place, for everybody here, it doesn't seem like it takes that long, just a few seconds maybe, but for me, it feels like time is standing still. It takes much longer when you're traveling on the astral plane. You see, in fact, while I was there, I counted exactly how many cards you had. Please open up your hands. I'll take all of them. And let's take a look. The first thought that I had was 15, 1, 5. And you saw that came, yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, exactly 15 cards. But the next idea that came to me was the number 8. That's because when I was counting them, I also decided to count how many of those cards were red. You see, I believe exactly 8 of those cards are red cards. Let's take a look. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exactly 8 red cards. Now, 84, well, this is the interesting one. You see, I said that for me, when I'm traveling on the astral plane, it feels like it's taking much longer than for all of you guys. To be honest, I get to live 1,000 lifetimes. And I got so bored while I was in there that I decided to play a little maths game, a game of Sudoku. 84. You see, if we add every single one of these cards up, it will equal exactly 84, and I can prove it. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 7 is 13, plus 3 is 16, plus 4 is 20, plus 6 is 26, plus 1, and ace is 1, is 27, plus 5 is 32, plus 9 is 41, 42, 43, queen is 12, so 43 plus 12 is 55, 56, 57, 58, plus another 12 would be 70, plus 8 is 78, plus 6 is 84.
Oh my goodness. It's just so crazy. I don't know how any of it was done, really.
It's when he had the total of all the cards that were in your hand. Like,
Yeah.
You can't explain it. You can't explain it. How can you know that it added up to 84?
And so fast as well. That's the thing. It didn't take time.
So the Marksman Deck is one of the interesting aspects to the Marksman Deck is that actually it requires almost no sleight of hand to do really direct and powerful demonstrations of mentalism and mental magic with cards. It's a tool that's scalable. It grows with the user. You know, I started developing these tricks when I was a teenager, and certainly as a teenager, maybe even younger than that, to be honest. But as a teenager, I had very limited sleight of hand ability, and the sad truth is now that as a professional mentalist, I have even less. You know, with very minimal sleight of hand skills, you can use the deck to produce really amazing results, because the deck itself is based on psychology and on subtlety and on engaging in theatrical presentations. So really, providing that you can cut and complete, and providing that you can hold the deck in your hand, there's really nothing that can stop you from performing powerfully. You know, I believe, honestly, that if you can tie your shoelaces, if you can do that, if you can tie your shoelaces, then that's significantly more challenging than performing with this deck of cards. Now we've taken some time to travel on the astral plane, I think it's time for us to spend some time travelling on a much more simple psychological plane. And to do this, I'm going to need the help of everyone. So everybody take a nice deep breath of air in, and then let it out, or you will suffocate and die. And just relax for a second. Just relax. And now take your hands like this in front of you. Very good. Hold your hands as if you're making a desperate prayer. If it helps, if you're in need of prayer, this is a good opportunity to make one. And now interlock your fingers so that they're locked together, and squeeze your hands with your thumbs crossed over each other. And squeeze them nice and tight so they're touching. So both of your palms are fully touching. And now extend your first fingers roughly 1 inch. I want you to focus your attention, your vision, at the space in between your fingers, as you begin to imagine the space is occupied by 2 magnets. Both of your fingers are magnetic as those magnets begin to draw your fingers closer and closer together. Closer and closer together. The more you try to fight it, the stronger that feeling of magnetism becomes, drawing your fingers much, much closer. And for some of you, when those fingers touch right here, those magnets will become so powerful that the more you try to take those fingers apart, the more difficult it becomes. As much as you try, they become stuck, bonded, fused, and welded together so strongly that if you try to take them apart, Johannes, try to take those fingers apart, you'll find that you can't do it. The stronger you try, the more difficult it becomes. The more you try to take those fingers apart, the stronger they become glued, stuck and welded and fused together. Stuck, welded and fused together. You can put your hands down, you can put your hands down, and you can put your hands down. Each of you, try and take those fingers apart. You see, the more you try, the more difficult it becomes. Try to take those fingers apart. Try to take those fingers apart. Try to take those fingers apart. Yours come free just like this, and completely free. Yours come free just like this, completely free. And yours become more and more stuck. In fact, so stuck that your whole hands begin to bond and fuse and weld. And if you were to try to take those fingers and that hands apart, it would become completely impossible for you. In fact, you start to find your legs stuck and fused and bonded to the chair. In fact, if you were to try to stand up, that would also be impossible. Yours come apart easy as that, straight away, completely apart. But for you, this is much more challenging. In fact, if you try to take your whole hands apart, it can't happen. The more you try, the more difficult it becomes. The more you try, the more difficult it becomes for you to take your hands apart. It's okay, don't get too panicked about it. You see, the more you try, the more difficult it becomes, until I do this, and then suddenly everything just becomes completely free. What was that like for you? What was that like for you?
Really weird.
Just a weird feeling? Well, let me tell you. Oh, panic. Well, I mean, it's a great thing, because what it proves is actually that you have a fantastic ability to visualize. Because really that wasn't hypnosis, it was suggestion. It's the kind of thing a hypnotist would do to find out whether you could be hypnotized. And the more you respond to that, the more likely it is that you could become hypnotized in a more hypnotic state. It's a test of suggestion. I'm not going to hypnotize you, don't worry. You'll be keeping your clothes on for at least the next few hours. But what I would like to do is use something that's interesting about that suggestive state with you and the cards. You see, because by becoming more suggestible, you are open to stronger visualization. And visualization is actually the key to the door to intuition. So the more you can visualize, the more intuitive you are. I suspect that if I spoke to your friends, they'd say you were quite intuitive as a person. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. In fact, Sunita, help me out for a second. Just push the cards together so you know that they're mixed up. Just, yeah, perfect. Just push them all the way in. That's it. So you know that they're shuffled. Good. And right now, I'm going to think of one of these cards. There's no way you could know the card that I'm thinking of. There's no way. But I'm going to think of one. And I'm going to keep that card strongly in my mind. And what I'd like you to do is actually reach forward. Maybe you can stand right here for me. I want you to reach forward and place your hand right on the edge of the deck, as if you were going to cut the cards, but not yet. Because in a moment, I'll ask you to cut them, but at a very specific time. Okay. So I want you to take a nice deep breath of air in and then let it out. And now I want you to tense every muscle in your body. Every single muscle becomes tenser and stronger, almost as if it's made of an iron bar. In a moment, I'll ask you to relax, to allow every muscle to become free. And it's at that moment that you cut the deck completely intuitively. You don't try and cut it at any specific place. Just allow your intuition to guide you. So keep tensing those muscles, keep tensing them, and now release everything and cut the cards wherever you would like. Very good. Now, right now, this is exactly where you cut the cards, completely intuitively. There's no way you could know that I was thinking, my card was the 5 of hearts, by the way, the 5 of hearts. There's no way you could know where that card is. From all of these cards, there's only one 5 of hearts. Yes. I want you just to lift up the pile that you cut to and turn it over. Show me how successful you were. I think we have conclusive proof that we have an intuitive person right here. So if you're finding yourself in those kind of difficult situations of semi-formal magic, you sit there at the table, maybe with your friends, your family, or maybe with some sort of important clients after you've done the normal gig, and you kind of have this difficult scenario of sitting down and having to do this semi-formal magic with people right on top of you. Well, the Marksman Deck for me is a lifesaver in that situation. It just comes out of my pocket and I can go. I can do a whole kind of show of really quite compelling, really theatrical magic, because the tool itself is so easy to use that in that moment I can focus on connecting with the people in front of me. So it kind of becomes a tool that is really useful in both casual environments with friends and family and so on, but also in professional performance as well, because it kind of fulfills a really difficult problem. It gives a solution to a really difficult problem of doing those kind of semi-formal close-up performances. And then, of course, I do use the Marksman Deck in more formal professional performance. So, you know, if I'm standing up on a kind of parlour show and doing a show of card magic. We'll try one more kind of unusual psychic skill, since this has been a kind of tour of the unusual psychic abilities. Have you ever seen one of these before? It's called a pendulum. It's a really interesting thing. I'm sure as a scientist you're aware of pendulum movement, and that's kind of what this is based around. But it does something truly remarkable. In fact, remarkable in the sense that I'll ask you to help me out. I'd like you to hold it just as I'm holding it right now, by the little bead on the top. Okay. Very good. And you can relax your arm. In fact, put your elbow on the table so you're not straining too much. And just focus your mind right here on the actual bob, the pendulum bob. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's his name. Okay. And now in your mind, imagine that that's moving in a circle. Just see it in your imagination beginning to move in a circle. And you'll find the stronger you think about it moving in a circle, it begins to move in a circle. The circle becomes wider and bigger and stronger as the movement continues to pick up momentum, as you continue to really think about it moving in a nice, wide, powerful circle. But the really amazing thing is, right now, if we were to imagine that it wasn't moving in a circle, but it began to move in a straight line, you'd find that also it will do exactly what you tell it to do. Just by thinking about it, it begins to do exactly what you want it to do.
That's very strange.
And another fascinating thing is the fact that right now you've just taught this pendulum how your mind works. Genuinely. You see, if it moves in a circle, that's a yes. If it moves in a straight line, that's a no. Okay. So let's ask it a question. Let's say, say out loud to the pendulum, am I a man?
Am I a man?
And of course, the answer to that is yes. So it will begin to move in a circle. Even though you're not really doing anything, it begins to move in that circle. You see it?
Yeah, yeah.
So now ask it another question, like, say, am I a woman? And now, of course, it would say no.
Am I a woman?
And now it moves in a straight line. You can relax your arm and put it down for a second.
Yeah.
See, the fascinating thing about this is that really what's going on is more beautiful than any trick. You see, what's happening is, as you hold it like this, you think about the idea, the movement, or even the answer to a question, and that sends all of these tiny little microsignals down your arm. Those microsignals are then amplified right the way down the chain, which causes it to move. So in a very real sense, what this does is take the invisible ideas in your mind and make them visible in the world around you. It's literally a way to see your thoughts. That's what a scientist would say. But a believer has a different idea. A believer thinks that maybe this can open your mind to information that even you do not know. If the scientific theory was the answer, then you would have to know the information for it to express the answer. So let's see if we can take this. So you shuffled, and what I want you to do is to cut the cards and complete. So reach down, cut some off. Very good. And then put those on top. And then take your card and place it right here, the top card, the one that you cut to randomly. Very good. And I'm going to ask you to take the rest of the cards and place them inside of their box. So just pick everything up and put it in the box. And can I use that glass that's right here? Can you pass that to me? Thank you. So right now, we'll leave the cards right here. Place your hand on top. Good. So this is the card that you have chosen. You could have chosen any one. You shuffled them, you cut them. This is the random card we end up with. Right now, every card in the pack has a mate. For example, the Ace of Spades, its mate is the Ace of Clubs because it's the same value and the same colour. Does that make sense? Like twins almost in the deck. We're going to see if our pendulum might be able to find the answer to where this card's twin is resting. To start with, all I have to do is allow the pendulum to become active. So as we know, a circle means yes. That means it's willing to answer the question. So that's a nice, strong yes straight away. And now I place it inside of here, and I just ask it, tell me where it is. Where is the card? So that was 9, correct? Exactly 9. That's exactly how many it wanted to tell me, 9. Now, I don't know. I couldn't know because nobody could know. But I believe the pendulum is telling me that if we take the deck, if we count 9 cards, we'll find the mate of this card, its twin. So let's take a look. I'll take the deck as fairly as I can. I will not change the order. They'll stay exactly in the order they were in. And we said 9. It hit it 9 times. Did you count along with me so you know it was 9? Let's take a look. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 9th card right here. Now, this is a piece of information that I could not have known. So it couldn't be anything to do with my microsignals. It could only be the unexplained pendulum. So what do you get with a Marksman deck? Well, you get a really in-depth DVD with me teaching you how to use the deck. And the DVD doesn't just cover all of the kind of features of the deck, it also teaches a whole variety of tricks that are specific to the deck. Tricks that you can't do with any other deck of cards that's out there. Once you watch the DVD, in a very short space of time you'll be outperforming these tricks because there's really nothing to it. The deck itself does all the work for you. So the DVD teaches you the system, it teaches you my approach, it teaches you some sundry sleights, some kind of things that you might want to apply to it if you wanted to, as well as a variety of tricks, many of which you've seen in the extended performance footage, that I believe are kind of really direct and really powerful tricks that require no difficult technique to actually perform. Charles, I would like you to tell me something about you that is 100% true. Something about you or your life that I wouldn't know that is 100% the truth.
I have a healthy relationship with my dog.
Okay, a healthy relationship with... Oh, an unhealthy relationship with your dog. Okay, we'll leave that alone. And now tell me something that is 100% a lie. Something that's completely false about you. So I know that you have an unhealthy relationship with your dog. You're just very, very fond of your dog, I'm assuming. We should clarify that.
Unfun, no.
No, you're very fond of your dog. Yeah. So now tell me something 100% false about you. Lie to me.
Yeah, I'm scared of sheep.
Okay. Tell me another lie.
I've never been to Hong Kong.
Tell me another lie.
I don't have brown hair.
Stop lying to me. Good. So I think right now I've learned some interesting things about you. I mean, we've learned some very interesting things about him, but at the same time I've learned a couple of interesting things about you. What we need to do is go ahead, give the cards a cut, and then put the rest on top so you complete the cut. And then pick up the deck and deal a card to me, and then a card to you, as if we were playing cards, 5 cards each. Perfect. Now, you have a choice of whichever hand you would like. You can have the one here or here. I'm not going to use a hand, so which one would you like?
This one.
Okay, perfect. So take your cards and sort of spread them out so you can see them. Maybe actually just look at the one on the very front to start with, just the one on the very front. And I'm going to ask you to either tell me the truth or lie. It's completely up to you as to what that card is. Now, again, it's your choice. You can either tell me the truth or lie, but I believe now that I'm capable of working out whether you're telling me the truth or lying. So what card are you looking at right now? Tell me.
10 of hearts.
The
10 of hearts.
The 10 of hearts. So that's either the truth or a lie. I think you are generally quite an honest person. I feel like this is the truth. Is that the truth? Yeah, you can put the 10 of hearts right there. So now tell me the next card that you're looking at. You can tell me the truth or lie. It's completely up to you.
4 of spades.
Again, very little deviation. That's the truth. Put the card right there. Look at the next card. You know what? You can tell me the truth or lie. What colour is that card?
Red.
That's the truth. Now tell me, look at the next card. You can tell me the truth or lie, and we'll do it in stages. So what colour is that card?
Red.
Ah, that one's the lie right there. But don't show me the card. So now you just told me a lie. That is a black card, not a red card. You liar. But now it's up to you. You can either stick with your lies that we're all catching you on, or you can tell the truth. What suit, what shape is on that card? Is it a club, a heart, a spade, or a diamond? You tell me, but you can tell me the truth or lie.
Diamond.
Okay, that's a lie, very clearly. So what's interesting right now is, let's think about this. So you could have told the truth or lie, but you chose to lie about the colour, and you chose, obviously, to lie about the suit. So, but you went with a diamond. Now, diamond is quite sharp and angular. It's just straight lines. So what men tend to do when they tell a lie in this situation is go as far away as they possibly can from what the truth of the situation is. So they'll say, you know, no, I wasn't even in the same building as her, honey. You know, like they'll go crazy as far away as they can. So my guess is that this card is a club that you're looking at. So now you can tell me the truth or lie about the value of it, whether it's ace right the way up to jack, queen, king. So tell me the truth or lie, what is the value of that card?
9.
That is the truth. Show me the 9 of clubs. You can put it right there. Good. Which only leaves one last card for us to deal with. Place that card face down on the table. And in your mind, not out loud, but in your mind, answer these questions. And you can tell me the truth or lie, but only in your mind. So is that card red or black? Okay, you just told me the truth in your head. So again, don't say anything out loud, but just in your head, is that card a heart or a diamond? You'd lied that time and then switched back to the truth straight after. You told me initially you thought, I'm going to try and tell him it's a heart, but then you switched to the truth, which is it's a diamond. You sort of second-guessed yourself. To start with, you just went straight with the truth. In your head, you said red. Then you sort of went in your own mind, it's a heart, no, diamond. That's literally that much came out, so it's a diamond. And now in your mind, tell me the value. You can either tell me the truth or lie. You're telling the truth again. You're a naturally honest person. And if you are telling the truth, that should be the Queen of Diamonds. Turn it over and show me. And there it is, the Queen of Diamonds. So we learned that you have an unnatural relationship with your dog and that you're a naturally honest person. So that's a good thing. So even if you do own marked decks already, I'm a big collector of marked decks. It was one of the first things in Magic I ever discovered was a marked deck of playing cards, and I've always been sort of fascinated by the different techniques of marking cards. So if you own a whole collection of marked decks already, you might be thinking, well, why do I need the Marksman deck? Well, the truth is, even though it uses the technology and the kind of secret technology of a marked deck as its core methodological principle, it's not really just a marked deck. Sure, if you do hundreds of tricks with marked decks already, there's nothing in the world that stops you from using the Marksman deck. You can take it right out of the box and do all of those tricks straight away. But that would kind of only be using it to go 10 miles an hour when you could be going 200 miles an hour. So while it is using the core methodology, the technology of marked cards to bring about its central method, the truth is it's a utilitarian tool that gives you a kind of, without exaggeration, never-ending flow of really effortless, really direct mentalism and magic with cards with very little effort. So while it uses the technology of a marked deck, it's more than just a marked deck. It's actually an entire show that fits in the card box in your pocket that's waiting and ready for you to use whenever you want to do something really amazing. How often do you wonder what someone else is thinking?
All the time.
All the time. Do you think it would be good if you could understand the thoughts of someone else? Well, let me tell you, at first you think it's good, but maybe at times it's kind of a curse that you come to regret. We're going to try a really simple, practical application of seeing through somebody else's eyes. I want you to imagine that we're not sat right here, but instead we're sat in a casino. You two are playing cards against each other. You're playing for millions of pounds. If you could somehow see the cards that she had in her hands, you could win. So that will be my challenge. What I'd like you to do is to take out 4 or 5 cards, any ones that you want. Okay, great. And maybe one more. Very good. And now also, would you also take out 4 or 5 cards for me? Perfect. So what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment, not yet, is to actually look at your cards as if they were a poker hand. So hold them in front of you. But first, I want to make sure that I can't see. Now, I find that by blocking out all of the visual distractions, by getting rid of all of the visual issues, my intuition, my sixth sense is greatly amplified. So take a look at your hand, the poker hand that you have in front of you right now. And I would like you to imagine that you can actually tell me which cards you have in your hands. So here's the thing. If I name a card that you're thinking about, just take it and place it onto my hand. So to start with, the first card that I get is it's a black card. Focus on the suit, whether it's a club or a spade. That's a spade. Now, in your head, count how many there are. That's the 8 of spades. Please place the 8 of spades right here. And Chloe, I'd like you to do the same thing. Just focus on the cards. Focus on the colour, whether it's red or black. This is interesting because there's lots of different colours. This must be a picture card. This is the Queen of Hearts. Please place the Queen of Hearts on my hand. Leah, focus on your card as clear as you can. This is a 3, is that correct? Is it the 3 of spades? Please place it on my hand. Focus on your cards nice and clearly, as clearly as you can. This is interesting because we just had the 3 of spades over here, and as that moment happened, you thought, oh, mine's one less because you have the 2 of spades, yes? Good, so the 2 of spades. And Leah, focus on the next one is you have the 9 of spades as well, because as soon as I start talking about the 2, the 9 comes into your head, yes? So the 9 of spades as well, and the Jack of Hearts, I believe, the Jack of Hearts, place that on my hand, and the 5 of Hearts, yes, the 5 of Hearts, and now I think you have one more left, and you have 2 more left.
Yeah.
The 2 of Diamonds,
Yeah.
and the 6 of Hearts, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, and the Ace of Spades. Yeah. So the next time you find yourself playing cards, remember it might not just be you that's looking at your hand. One of the things that really mattered to me at the beginning of this project was that we found a way to make the Marksman deck at super high quality, so I wanted it to be printed by the United States Playing Card Company, and I wanted it to be on really good stock, and I wanted it to feel like good old Blue Seal bicycle cards. I wanted it to have that great quality to it, but to also be able to offer it at a price that was affordable. I feel that this is the kind of deck of cards that I want to be in a situation where I've got no fear in really using them. I want to be out there with real people that are drinking coffee and drinking wine and having dinner, and I want them to grab the deck and shuffle it and mix it and use it and touch it. And you know what, if I go home at the end of the night and it's got some red wine down the deck, or it's got some horrible bend in it because somebody shuffled in a bad way, or you might want to have somebody out there signing a card or something like that, then I don't want that to be a problem. I want this to be a tool. I want this to be something you're all able to use in your real world work. So it was vital that we had it at both high quality but low price. Now, if you've ever tried to make anything, those are two things that very rarely go together. Trying to get super high quality and super low price is one of those big challenges. I think Vanishing Ink and have done a really good job at finding this perfect middle ground. I want it to be a deck of cards that is very, very, very usable. I don't want it to be a deck of cards that costs so much money that you feel like they're made of gold and you're frightened every time somebody touches one. And I think we found that price point with the deck. So our goal in the long term is also to offer refill decks at a very reasonable rate, and you can buy them by the brick and so on. So you can really get out there and use these decks of cards as they're intended to be used, not as a block of gold that's so valuable that you're frightened to actually go and perform with it. These decks will be priced, I think, at a reasonable enough point that you can go out there and tear them up and have them signed and fold them, and they can get dirty and you can drop them on the floor without having to feel like you just lost a major investment. I want you to be free using the cards. I keep returning to this word, freedom, when I talk about this deck of cards, because for me that's the highest artistic challenge. When you're performing, the highest challenge for you as a performer is to feel free, to feel really genuinely free in front of the audience. So everything that restricts you, everything that brings you back, everything that pulls you back is preventing that freedom, and it's in that freedom that the connection's made. So if you're standing there with a deck of cards that cost so much money that you could buy a second-hand car, then you know what, you're probably not going to feel that free using them. So it was vital to me that the cards be priced enough that in performance you can handle them as though they really were just a deck of cards, because that's kind of important. They shouldn't look like they're made of gold. They should be something that you're willing to just throw around and use. So I'm really happy with where we got on that. The quality of the deck itself is super high. I'm an old guy now, so I sort of remember the good old days of the United States Playing Card Company, and when I opened them out of the box I was kind of super impressed, surprised and happy that they felt like the good old days when the cards were so great quality, and that's really down to Vanishing Ink and Andy Gladwin working so closely with United States Playing Card Company. I can't really take any credit for that apart from being demanding and Vanishing Ink fulfilling my demands, but the quality is really, really great, and the price I think is perfect for you to go out there and to be using the decks time and time again without worry, without fear, and use them as a tool to connect and to create mystery. Thank you.